Yo, my people! So, Bloxburg just became free and you want to build the house of your dreams, but you have no idea what you're doing. Well, let me help you with that. Just a disclaimer though, this video is for if you know like absolutely nothing. Like if you already know how to put down walls and color and all that kind of stuff, then you probably don't need this video. But I will have linked in the description some other like building tips videos and how to be a better builder and all that kind of stuff. So go check those out. And if you're someone that's sticking around, let's get to it. Okay, so here you are on a fresh plot, although I'm guessing if you're new to Bloxburg, you might be getting the very starter house, the yellow and green one. But let's just say you're at your plot, right? And you're ready to get building. To get to build mode, you're gonna want to go to this house symbol down on the right corner, and then of course you see build mode there. But before you click that button, you want to make sure that you're on your plot, because if you are not on your plot, even if you're like on the road right here in front of it, if you click build mode, it'll say you must be on the plot to do that. And you can click go to house, but then you're gonna encounter the loading screen, which might take a while. So if you're literally right there, then you know, just to go to your plot just like this and then click into build mode, and there you go. Now we're in build mode. Okay, and then on the bottom left corner over here, you're gonna see that there's 3 buttons: build, decorate, and inventory. Those are the places you're gonna need to get the things you want to place down on your build. So first we come to build, and build is where you get like your structural things to like build the actual structure generally. So like walls, doors, windows, flooring, gates, things like that. And you'll see that there's some things that are in both build and decorate, such as garden and I think vehicles as well. So if we go to decorate, you see there's vehicles right there, and then there's garden over here. But decorate is generally what you're going to use to decorate. So like furniture, appliances, plumbing, things like sinks and toilets and bathtubs and all that kind of stuff, and clocks and shelves and just all that kind of stuff, furnishing and decorating, hence it being called decorate. And then finally, there's your inventory, which coming from someone who once was a brand new Bloxburger is kind of confusing, because you can't just put anything in your inventory. With Bloxburg, what happens is during special seasons like winter, even Valentine's Day, and then also like in the fall, we'll get seasonal items like you see these pumpkins here, and then you know this stocking for Christmas, even 4th of July, that's true, there's fireworks. But those items are only in the game for that season, for that specific amount of time. And once they're out of the game, you can no longer buy them from the build or decorate categories. And so what happens is if you have those items on a plot, but then you go to sell them, which we'll get to later, instead of being sold, they'll just go directly into your inventory, because you can't sell them anymore once you're out of the season. But when you're in the season, if you try to sell it, it will sell since you're still able to buy it. And a lot of people will stock up before the season ends so that they can then use the items all throughout the year if they want to, because you don't get another chance until the season comes again the next year. Also, a quick note about the inventory is that sometimes you get special items. Like for example, us old Bloxburgers got this early access trophy and the Comfort Master 500 vehicle. I was about to call it a chair, but it's a vehicle. And those got deposited into our inventories. Okay, now on to actually starting your build. So the first thing you normally would want to do is place down walls. And if you remember, all the structural things for your build are in the build tab. So you want to click on that, and then you see walls over here. And another note, all of these buttons, they are alphabetical. So if you can't remember where something is, remember it's alphabetical. So walls is towards the end. You click on that, and then this pops up, right? And this is our little click and drag wall tool, you could call it. And it even tells you click and move. So when you want to place a wall, you'll click on one tile. And as you can see, I literally clicked and then it said too short, because you have to click and hold and then you pull it as long as you want. And as you can see, it goes tile by tile, but you can also see on the tiles that they're broken down even further. And that's because there are different tile sizes, which we'll come to even more in the future, like especially when we place down furniture and things. But by default, the grid size, as you can see here on the right side, is on like the medium. There's 3 different sizes. There's small, medium, and large. So if you click that, that goes to the smallest. And you can see now the tiles are broken down even smaller. And then if you click the grid size button again, we're set to the large grid, and it's broken down smaller because now it's only 4 different sections in one of the tiles, right? And so most things will change how they're placed depending on your grid size, but the walls can only go 1 tile at a time, 1 full tile. And also you can have walls that are straight in both directions, sections, but you can also have diagonal walls. And I just unlocked a feature that I just realized I wasn't planning on telling you about. So since I'm already doing it, let me tell you, there's our diagonal wall. But in Bloxburg with the camera controls, to rotate the camera, you have to use your scroll wheel on your mouse to go in and out. When you're scrolled all the way in, it's like forward facing. And then when you scroll out, it kind of tilts you at an angle. But if you want bird's eye view, you can hit spacebar on your keyboard and hold it. And then you can look at it from a bird's eye perspective. And then also to rotate the camera, you're going to want to hold your right mouse key button and then just move your mouse around and you'll figure out how that moves better. And oh my goodness, something else I didn't realize is that moving around build mode is just like you move your character. You'd use WASD on your keyboard. You go forward with W, backwards with S, left with A, and right with D. But then there's also Q and E. Q rotates you clockwise. This is clockwise. And then E rotates you counterclockwise. And we are making our way back. There we go. Okay, and I'm going to actually undo most of what we've done so I can build a bit of a structure that I can then demonstrate everything else there is to demonstrate, really. Okay, so this is a tiny little structure, but next up, we're going to talk about flooring because you also need a floor in your house, right? So flooring is a structural thing. So we're going to go back to build mode, or to the build tab, I mean, and then click on floor. And so that gives you this little dot, right? And by default, this is set to automatic placement that you see down here on the right left corner a bit. It says automatic placement right now. And so what that does is if you were to just click in an enclosed area with walls, it automatically places a floor like that. So I clicked and it's grayed out a bit because you haven't done it quite yet. But if you're happy with it, you right click on your mouse. That confirms it when you're happy with it. And so that automatically places the flooring. But usually you would want to do manual placement. So I'm going to undo, which is this button right here, or you can hit Control Z on your keyboard. And then as you can see, it says T next to automatic placement. And what that does is it switches from automatic. And then I'm going to click the T to manual placement. So now we're on manual placement. You can also just click the button to switch between the two. But whatever it says right there is the one that you're currently on. So now I'm on manual. And now you can see that the dot is moving exactly one tile apart. So that helps you to place your own flooring. So I'm going to click in this corner here to start. And what you do is you kind of like draw where you want your floor. So if I go like this, I have a floor right there. And then you want to right click, just like we did with the automatic placement floor, to confirm. And yay, we got a floor. And the reason I said that you want to do manual placement usually is because if you have a section that isn't just like a basic square or rectangle or something like these diagonal walls, the flooring gets a little funky. And let me show you what I mean. So I just undid the floor. I'm going to go back to automatic placement and then place that floor again. But this time, oh no, this is so confusing. I realized that I'm doing things that I haven't showed you yet. I'm going to color the floor, but we'll get into that more later. Okay, but see, I've just colored this floor white planks, and that is not how you want your floor to look, is it? That's why we don't do automatic. So I'm going to undo that and build the floor like how I had it before. And now, as you can see, that is looking more like how you want your floor to look. But the thing is, with the corners, they're always going to kind of look off. So you kind of just have to accept that, sadly. But then this one, of course, can go the same direction. And then something else with the floors is that the way you place them determines the direction they face. The way I placed these ones was I went from this corner to this corner and then over, right? And now they're facing horizontal. But if I had done this corner to this corner and then down, they'd be facing vertically. So let me show you what I mean. So before I went like this and then I went over. So let's say this is the base, right? But when I drag it this way, that's showing the game that, oh, we want our floor to go in that direction. You know what I mean? So if I start the base this way and then bring it down, the floor is gonna go in the opposite direction as to what we had it before. That might be confusing, but over time when you practice, I think it'll make more sense and you'll get the hang of it. Real quick, let's talk about the controls of build mode. You can see we have this little column here. I don't know what you want to call that. And this has a lot of tools that'll be helpful in your whole process of building. So there's the undo button. So if you do something and you're like, oh, I don't want to do that, then you want to either click that, or as you can see, you can hit Control Z and you just hold Control and then click Z and that'll undo. And then there's this arrow that's redo, or you can click Control Y. And then we have the button to change your grid size, which we may have already talked about depending on when I end up putting this in the video. And you can also click J to change it. You don't just have to tap tap on the button, and then there's the change levels button, which helps you go up to floor 2, 3, 4, 5, and whatnot, and then also basement. But you may not be able to go up very much if you don't have certain game passes. And then of course the hotkeys for that are either page up or page down, depending whether you're trying to go up or down. And then we have this toggle object collisions button, which I think is only really available to you if you have the advanced placement game pass. So your toggle object collisions I think will just always be off if you don't have advanced placement, which just means items can't mesh. Let me show you what I mean, because I feel like I'm not making any sense. So for example, if we just have two tables like this, I can, or not. Oh, it's because I have it off. If I have toggle object collisions on, then I can to some degree put them together. But as you saw, when the button was off, I'm not able to do that. I can't do the same thing I just did. I have to put them next to each other like that. And you do need the advanced placement game pass in order to be able to do that. And then the shortcut for that button is K on your keyboard. And then we have toggle roofs. So we haven't put a roof on our structure yet, but when we do, if we click this, it would take the roof off of the level we're on, and then click it again and it would put it back on, but you can't see that because you don't have the roof yet. And you can also hit U for that. And then we have the scale tool, which I'm not sure whether you need advanced placement for that or not, but it just helps you make some items bigger or smaller, and not every item can be scaled. Usually it'll tell you. Like this one does not say anything about being scaled in the description. That is a long description, by the way. And so if I were to hit V, which is the shortcut, you can see it's not lighting up. It would normally turn green if I'm able to click on it and actually scale it, but I can't. I'm gonna undo and place something that I should be able to scale. Ooh, like a carpet, for example. That's a great one. So I place that carpet down, and then I'm gonna hit V. As you can see, now it's highlighted, and then I click on this, and then it gives you an arrow. Did you see how that turned green? That's how you know it can be scaled. And then you'll usually see an arrow or several, and then you can just click and drag and change the size. Isn't that pretty cool? But of course, scaling does like cost you money because you know you're making it bigger, so it's gonna cost more. And then we have the transform tool, which you do need a game pass for that. That's the transform tool game pass, and you can also click T to use that. So that is also only for specific items. I think it's mainly like basic shapes and structurals, which we haven't gotten to yet, but there are basic shapes in the game that you can use to kind of build custom things. So this is just a plain cube, and then if I hit T for the transform tool, now it lights up blue, and then you click on that, and then you can see you can move it this way, move it up, down, goes through the floor, and then you can also rotate it in every direction, however you want. And something awesome with this is that this allows you to also rotate specific items. So if I were to place a cube like that down and then put this carpet on top of it, which I need my object collisions on to let me do that, then I hit T and click on the cube. Oh, the carpet doesn't work. Never mind. Okay, see, some items don't work. That's it. I'm glad that happened because you got to see that it doesn't work for everything. But let's just do something simple like these slippers. They should work. Yes, see, okay, that tells you because when I do this, they light up blue as well. So that's how you know it should work. And then you can rotate those with it. Isn't that really cool? But again, you do need a game pass to be able to do this. Okay, and then we have the change time button. And right now it has an A on it, which just means automatic. And I think that just sets it to the time that it is in your server. And I'm in my neighborhood right now in Bloxburg, so I have set it to always be 9 a.m. The time isn't moving. But if you click it, or you click B, that's the shortcut. If you click B on your keyboard, then now we're at like evening time. Oops, I hit the wrong button. And now we're in daytime, which looks just like it does normally. I guess this is more evening, but you know what I mean. And this is full night. So that just like toggles the time and changes it. You know, sometimes you want to see what your build is going to look like at different times of the day. So that just helps you to do that. And it's really cool. And then finally, we have the bulldoze plot option. And now you want to do this one with caution. You want to know you're absolutely sure you want to do this because when you click it, you're going to demolish your entire plot and get rid of it. But thankfully, you know, it doesn't just happen automatically. And it even tells you bulldozing is a quick way to sell everything on your plot. This cannot be undone. And I'm not going to do this, but there is a way that it doesn't get rid of everything. If you click on options, then you can kind of select what you want to be bulldozed. I've tried to do this before and I don't think it worked out very perfectly, but essentially they give you the option to like keep certain things. So I just clicked on vehicles, and if I had a vehicle on here and continued to bulldoze, everything would be sold except for my vehicles. And then yeah, there's the structures and the objects section. Oh, nope. You don't want to hit continue ever because that's when you will bulldoze your plot. But as as you can see, when you bulldoze your plot, you do receive money back because you're selling everything, but just be aware that you're not getting everything back. It's only a percentage. And I think the more time passes, the less you get back. So be aware of that. You want to be careful how you build and whatnot, because if you don't undo it, if you just try to sell it, you don't get the full price back. So just be aware of that. Okay, and then over at the bottom right, there are a few more buttons. So you see the trash button, and it's not showing you, but you can also hit G, and now it's lit up, right? I just hit G on my keyboard, and that just helps you to sell individual items. So it's not the bulldoze where you're gonna sell your whole entire plot, but I can like take out this wall, and that just sold. I got $16, which 2 tiles is worth $16, but I just sold 3 tiles worth of walls. So as you can see, I did not get the full price back. The only way you get your full price back is if you undo. And so if you're not sure about anything, you don't want to leave build mode, because once you leave build mode and come back, you can't get it for full price anymore. So that's the delete button. And then we have the duplicate button next to it, which you can also hit C on your keyboard. C for copy. That's easy to remember. And then if I were to click like this wall, it just allows me to make more walls. But like if I had some kind of furniture, like this cactus, for example, then I hit C, it would just copy it, and then I can place it again. And then usually once you're copying, it just kind of keeps it on your mouse, and you can copy it as many times as you want. And then we have the color tool, which the shortcut for that is B. No, it's not. It's so second nature to me that if I was just building, I'd be able to do it. But now that I'm thinking, I can't think about it. But the shortcut for that is actually F. So now it's lit up. And then what you do is you click here, and then that pops out the color tool. And then I'm going to be coloring this wall. So with Bloxburg, there's a preset set of colors, right? And they all have their names that you can see it changing right there. And let's say I wanted my wall this bright red, really red. I don't think I've ever colored anything that color before. I would click that, and then if I was happy, then I'd hit the check mark, and there we go. We have a colored wall. But I'm going to undo that and go back, and I'm going to go with white this time. But there's also a material section over here, and you click on that, and you see all these materials. There's so many. And the beautiful thing here, both with the materials and colors, is that there's a search bar. So if you know what you're looking for, then you can just type that in. That narrows it down for you, and then you can click on the one you want. And as you can see down here, we also have a color wheel. This is a new Game Pass as well, I believe. Is it a Game Pass, or you might just have to spend block bucks on it? It might just be block bucks. But if you do have the color wheel, you can click on that, and then you can customize your color however you want. You can just move around here, and then, you know, change the darkness or brightness of it, or you can put in the color code, either the hex or the RGB code. If you know a specific color that you want to use, you can just type that in yourself. And then of course, if you're not happy with your color, there's 2 options. You can either hit this arrow key, which I'm not sure why it looks like I can't click it right now, but I should be able to. So this might be a bug right now. Usually if you started coloring, this will be a darker color, just like the X and the check mark. And then I can click that, and then it'll revert it back to its original color. But you can also just hit the X, and then that just takes you out of the color tool and undoes whatever you had set in there. And let me go back in so I can show you something. Since we are on a wall and I clicked from the outside, I would only be coloring the outside. But there's some items that have 2 sides, and actually I just remembered that floors are one of these things, because if you're doing like multiple stories, then you can color the top and the bottom of the floor differently. So if I click on this floor here, you can see both of these I can color, right? So we colored the top, which is the first one that shows up, in the second one, which we won't see because it's on the first floor, would be the bottom of the floor. But you can see that that can be a different color altogether and different material if you want it to be too. Okay, so that I think hopefully covers coloring. Let me make sure I didn't miss anything. Oh, I did miss something. With the coloring, you have these different sections that you can see have different colors on them, right? This set of 6 are your 6 most recently used colors. So that's kind of cool if you're coloring and you're like, oh, I don't remember what color I used, but you can see it here, and then just reuse it again. And then this section over here that's a lot bigger is where you can have saved custom colors. Now I always have trouble with this, but I just clicked on a blank one, and then I'm just gonna do this one, but I don't know how or if I can delete it because I don't want to actually keep this. So let's say I did that. Yeah, see, that didn't work. I think I'd have to like maybe accept it. Maybe that's how you do it. Nah, it still didn't work. But this is supposed to be the area for like your custom colors that you want to save and reuse again in the future at any point in time. Oh, there we go. Let me explain how I did that. So I clicked on this square originally, right? Let's click on this one. And then once you're happy with your color, then you click on the spot where you want it to be saved. And there we go. It's saved. Now, if you want want to undo it or switch it out, I think you can. I'm going to make it white. And then I'm going to hit this. And then yeah, that makes that one white. And then I made that one white too. But in the future, I'll just change those to something else completely. But that's how that works. Hopefully that made sense and you understood. Something else I should mention actually here before we keep going. As you can see, this says $10. So it would cost me $10 to paint this many tiles of wall just white. But then once you add a material, that also ups the price. So now it's 30. So just be aware of that. Now, thankfully though, the materials don't cost differently. But if this had multiple different sections that could be colored and you did like different colors and materials and all of them, the price would go up and up and up. Finally, you can see here you also have the X button, and all that does is that takes us out of build mode. And you know what? I'm not too worried about, the cost I've spent on this, so I'll just show you. So you hit X and now we are out of build mode. But we still have a lot to go over, so let's go back. So we still don't have a roof, unfortunately. I'm gonna get rid of this wall real quick. To get a roof, we go again to build mode because a roof is a structural part of the house, right? And then we have roof right here. And we click on that, and then that shows you all the different types of roofs that we have in Bloxburg. Now I'm gonna go to gabled because that's like your most basic roof type ever. And this works just like the floors did, where there's automatic placement and then there's also manual. So right now it's on automatic, and then I hit T and it's on manual. I like manual for everything. If you don't want to be bothered, then of course do automatic, but most likely you'll get a better result doing it manually. But let's just see what automatic does for us. Oh, you can't even do automatic if you have diagonal walls. Well, let's see if it'll do it on this one. Yes. Okay, so see, there's our gabled roof. It was automatically placed. And with a gabled roof, automatic placement may not be that bad since you do have to have 90-degree angles, because depending on the space, there's only one direction that the roofs can face. Let's explain that while doing this manually. So just in the same way that the floors change direction depending on how you place them, it's kind of the same with roofing. With a gabled roof, the wider section, so if I do this, is gonna be where the slants go, and the shorter section will be the flat part. And that can be shown if I even do this, make a really short one. The long section is where it was slanted again. But if you have a square, so I'm gonna do 3 tiles by 3 tiles, it's always gonna face this way with the flat part to the front of the plot. So just be aware of that. And when you're doing this manually, it's just like the floors if you saw what I was doing before, and then you have to right click to confirm, of course. So there confirms that roof. Not that I want that. I'm gonna go more like this. And then also with the roofs, you can customize the sizing and whatnot. And you want to do this before you confirm, because once you confirm, if you don't like your roof, you have to redo it. And this is a place where the grid size comes into play, because if I were on the big grid and I try to like move this bigger, the points between where it'll move are a lot further apart. But then if I make it like medium grid, then you can see it's a lot smaller that it jumps between the points. And then the small grid is really fine-tuned where you can like make it any size you want. So I'm always on small grid when I'm doing roofs. And then that also goes for, oopsies, everything, even, how big it goes out, and then how thick the roof is too. And then something you might have seen just now was that to place points, you just click and then you let go and then you go to your next point, right? But then if you're not happy with a point and you want to redo it, you just re-click it and then it takes it away. Because sometimes you'll like accidentally click somewhere, like you'll go like this, and then you'll just like accidentally click over here, and then it's like, whoops. And so you just re-click the spot. That was an accident, and then you're good to go. And then I did purposefully make this shape because I can show you a few other roofs. So like the slanted one. The slanted one is interesting too when it comes to how you place it. The first 2 points that you place will be the lower section, and then the last 2 will be where it's raised up. So that can help you. But one really cool thing with the slanted roofs is that you can rotate them. So if you hit R on your keyboard, do you see how it just rotated that? And now it's facing the opposite direction. And then I hit R again. And then now it's facing completely opposite from where we started. And R again. And finally R is back to where we want it to actually be. And just for the future, R is, generally the rotate button. But when it comes to roofing, that only works for the slanted roof. Hopefully one day we'll get that for like the gabled roofs. We would absolutely love that. Especially then it doesn't just have to face one direction if it's a square like I showed you. And then for a shape like this, I would go for like a mansard roof. And we do have different types of them. We have regular mansard, flared mansard, hollow mansard. We have a mansard skylight one. But you can also do like a pyramid on a shape like this, because a pyramid is more pointed, and so you can get more like a tower shape. And let me show you something else. This is where we can see the toggle roofs come into play, because now if I click this, that takes our original roof we had away, way and I can see where I want this to go. So this is how I would put a pyramid roof in. And then I want to see how it looks now with the rest of the roofing. So I'm going to put that back on. And then for a tower, I'd want it to, you know, kind of come up a bit like that. And voila, there we have a tower roof. So you can get all different kinds of roofs on your house. Okay, so now we have walls and we have a roof, but we would not be able to get into the house, would we? Nor would there be any light coming into the house. So we need doors and windows. Again, those are kind of structural things. So you go to build mode or to the build tab. I keep saying build mode. And then we have doors here. And of course, there's lots of different kinds. So pick whatever your heart's desires. This is also where you see like the garage doors. So just all kinds of doors are here, you know? And you also have archways and frames and that kind of stuff. But I'm just gonna go with this one. Just, I don't know. It's just a pretty standard door. And again, we're on small grid, so I can place my door like anywhere, just not here because there's a wall right there. If we take that roof off, there's that wall right there. So it's not letting me place that there. And that makes perfect sense, right? But then if I go into like the big grid, then it has to be placed either on the full tile or like between two tiles like that. This is where that can actually come in handy because sometimes you want your door more like evenly placed. And if it's on small grid, it's harder to place it evenly. But I feel like this is a good spot for a front door, don't you think? Kinda, or we could center it more. Yeah, maybe on this house, this would look better actually. And then we also want windows, of course. So I clicked on the build tab again, and then we have windows down here. And again, there's all sorts of windows. And I feel like this window is fitting. Again, we're on the big grid, but that can be good because that is really helpful to place it evenly. Oh, that's looking so cute actually. I wasn't planning on making a cute house at all, but this is actually a little bit cute. And so yeah, you can just put windows wherever your heart desires. Again, if you go on like a different grid size, you can have a little bit more freedom with where you place them. You can do wonky builds where things aren't actually aligned properly if you want to. That's the beauty of building in Bloxburg. And then of course we can also have like double window action like this. Bada bing bada boom, that's pretty cute. And windows are something that you can resize. So I'm gonna hit V because that's the size tool and click on the window. And this one I want to be just a little bit smaller because I just feel like that'd be cuter there. And there we go. Our house is now doored, windowed, roofed, floored. We've got it all. Now, of course, you could continue coloring this if you wanted to. There are some other things you could add to spruce up the outside. So I'm going to go to build mode and there's like pillars, for example. And I know these are a lot harder to place and work with if you don't have advanced placement. So don't take my word on this, but pillars are really great for just making your house look extra nice. So putting them on the corners can be really, really good. And you know, you can play around with that however you want, but I just wanted to let you know that they do exist. And there's different kinds, of course. And then we also have wall trim. And so that can just spruce up your house too, because it just gives it, you know, some more interesting stuff going on. You can also do a smaller one like this all around. And then also one for the top up here. And do you see how that just like adds more to your house? It's nice. Okay, and we might as well touch on some other things while we're here. Fences, just really quick, are placed very similar to walls where you have to click and drag. But I'm gonna actually do this a little bit differently. Boom, and now we have a cute little fence. And of course, again, there's lots of different ones you can choose from. Even like these hedges, for example. And I think this is if you have object collision on. Yeah, see, I can't put both of these here together, but if I have toggle collision on, then you can do two fences at the same time. That didn't make sense, right? Because I just covered the other fence with the hedge. But for example, I think this fence is tall enough that if you then put like, this is the one I'm looking for. And you see how that's kind of nice? It just adds. This is getting into more than just the basics of building. Okay, let's get into furniture. You've got the exterior of your house done, assuming that's what you want to start with, right? And you're ready to place down some furniture. We're gonna go to decorate, because again, that's more where the furniture and things you decorate your house with are. Let's put down a couch. Couches are in comfort, as you saw me click. And let's put down this simple sofa. So as you can see, we're on the big grid. So of course, again, that's gonna move on bigger clicks in between spots. But then we can go to the smaller grid by clicking J twice, and then you can be more free with how you place this. And you can see with something like a couch, it kind of rotates naturally to face the wall if you're like pushing it against the wall. But if you want to rotate it yourself, there's two ways you can do this. You can hit the R key on your keyboard and that rotates it. And because we're on small grid, it's rotating at smaller intervals. And then if I hit J, we are back on big grid, and then we got bigger intervals to rotate, right? Another way you can rotate, and the same principle applies with the tile size, is just by clicking and then you rotate your mouse mouse around, which is what I'm doing now. But once you release, then it's going to place it. So just be aware of that. And then, yeah, you can place that wherever you want. And so that pretty much is how furniture goes. Again, remember, object collisions will affect how you furnish because, for example, right now I have object collisions on and I can, you know, kind of place this light like on the couch essentially. But then once I turn that off and try to move that, it's not going to let me place it there anymore. And something I should mention with lighting is that when you go to color a light, you can change the color of the lighting. So this first color right now you can see is the light color. It's white, right? But we can make that red and boom, that changes the mood of this room completely. So that is something to be aware of. Okay, and do you see now how this arrow key is now darkened like this? If I go back, it'll take us back to the default colors. So there we go. And you know what? There's one thing I definitely should show you that's in the decorate section. If you go to decorations and frames, you can see there's all these different kinds of pictures and things that you can place. And let's just place this one to decorate our little living area nicely there. And it's like, maybe this picture isn't the style you're going for. Guess what? Let's get out of build mode and go into our house with our avatar. And you can click on this picture and it'll say change picture. And then this first section that you come upon will be all the images that you have currently on your plot. So if I had placed like 5 more picture frames that had different pictures on them, you would see those all here. But we only have the one, so that's all that shows up. But then if you go into free images, you see that there's, you know, these are the, like, I think all the default ones. Oh no, there's more. Okay, we have the ones that come in the game in the other picture frames. So like this is in another picture frame that you can get in build mode, right? But then if you scroll, you also start seeing other stuff. What are these? Essentially, Roblox has a whole catalog of like decals is what we call them, right? And if you search for something specific, let's just say cottagecore, you'll get a bunch of cottagecore images that people have uploaded onto Roblox. And this one's really cute. The cottagecore cafe. This isn't a cafe. I'm going to change it, but still that just shows you that you can like search for different things, but this is dependent on what people have already uploaded. Oops, I typed in cottagecore cafe. I don't want that. There we go. That's cute and cottagecore-y. And let's go back in there because there's a third thing that you can do. If you have a specific image that you found on Roblox or that you uploaded by yourself onto Roblox, those decals have ID numbers and you would just like copy and paste that into this tab where it says enter image ID and then you click add and then it would put that in there for you. Let me demonstrate a little bit. So I'm on Roblox. I usually start on my profile, but if you go over here to the left, there's inventory and then decals. And then I see all the decals that I've ever uploaded myself, which I do have a video on how to upload your own if you're curious. Ooh, and so this one is pretty. This is on the theme with what we were going for. I have a cottagecore decal, so I click on that and I have my tab currently in like full screen, so you can't see where you would get the code from. But if I take it out of full screen, on the URL, you can see this little string of numbers here, and that is your decal code. So you want to highlight that and copy that. So I do Control-C on my keyboard, and then we're back in Bloxburg now. I'm going to paste that into this box down here. There we go. And then add, and there we go. We have our image that we found ourselves. That is one of the best ways you can customize your house because you can do like almost anything you want. Of course, it has to be family friendly and safe for work and all that kind of stuff because it's Roblox, duh. But let's get back into build mode. So now we are actually all done with decorating, putting all our furniture down and whatnot on the inside. But you're like, this is just grass. Well, you can do gardening too. Like we mentioned before, you can get to the garden section both in the build or decorate tab. So then we go to garden and you can see we have a lot of greenery here. So you can find trees, bushes, plants, like you can make a whole farm out of this stuff. There's planters, rocks, so many things. There's different kinds too. We have fruit trees. We can have an apple tree if we wanted, or a whole apple orchard. Organic trees are my favorite, although they are expensive. This is the large one, but still. So we've got trees. You even have things that can help you like create a cute little path, like these stepping stones. I prefer personally these large stepping stones. You can place them however you want, do a little cool design or shape for your path. Cute. And then we can also get some like flower bushes go in if we wanted. There's a lot of different ones. We have those ones. There's even like rose bushes. And then again, you can always search for what you need. So there's a search tab and I'm not finding the rocks that I want to find. So there's like boulders. There we go. This one's really nice that I like. Oh, and we can't forget flowers too. Look at those flowers, all pretty. And something else that might be a fun thing to decorate with is to make a pond. And the way that people do that is we go to build and then pools. And then you can use any size you want, but just know the deeper it is, the more expensive. So you want to get like one of these 3, and then you could put like a little pond right here. And of course there's more you want to do to it because clearly it's just a tile. It doesn't really look round and nice like a pond. And one way that I fix that is I go to the garden section and then I get these dirt piles, the bigger ones, because there's a smaller one, and I will like kind of put them on the corner and then color them the same as my grass. And then that just kind of helps. Then you can also color your pool. So I always just make mine like a dark brown, and then I do this texture, the pebble one, and I do that on both because there's 2 different ones. There's one for the bottom of the pool and one for the sides. And then there we go. That looks more pond-like. And then of course you can spruce that up even more because in the garden section, we even have like lily pads like this, and even those like, what are they called? Like cat something, cat tails. There we go. You can even do stuff like that and put bushes around or whatever you want to do to just make it a cute pond. And I would do even more. Like I'd put like rocks and stuff around because right now it looks a little bit wonky, right? And you can even resize your rocks. Like there's just so many ways you can customize everything, honestly. Bloxburg is so great for building, and I'm so glad you get to experience it and that I get to teach you how to do it. Okay, I did touch on the basic shapes a little bit earlier, but let's go back to that. We have things called basic shapes and also structurals that let you customize even further. So let's say there's something that you want to build, but it's not really an item we have in the game. That's where basic shapes and structurals can come in because we have literally basic shapes like cubes, cylinders, and I think even a cone somewhere. There we go. Things like that. Those just allow you to like put things together and make your own little thing. Like obviously that doesn't really look like anything, but you will find that people do crazy things with basic shapes and structurals. But with these, like you saw, we could use a transform tool on it and like even have it just like floating in midair type of thing. You can also resize them in different ways. So it really just allows you to like make almost anything, especially recently because they added even more things. Like we didn't used to have a sphere, and now we do. And also you'll see that some of them have like transparent ones or like semi-transparent, so that allows more customization. And also if you're wanting to like transform an item, like a decoration item, you most likely want to use like a transparent basic shape because then you won't really see it very much. It won't just be a pair of slippers floating on a box in midair, you know what I mean? And then those are the basic shapes, but then the structurals are more like beams and rods and chains and things like that. The standard placement, which we're on now, is literally just you place it like that, just like you place furniture. You just click and place it, right? But then if you hit T and go to custom placement, then it gives you more like the flooring or the roofing placement where it's a dot and you click and then you drag and you can place it wherever you want. And with this, you can, you know, have different angles and even stretch it out here. So do you see how that can like allow you to do so many different things? And then of course we can use the transform tool, but be careful because usually the key for the transform tool on your keyboard is T, but since that changes how you place it, that doesn't work. So I'm going to hit cancel over here and then hit T, and then I can use the transform tool on this as well. And then we can go like this, go up, down, and do you see just how much you can do? And then yeah, you can just have that floating in midair if you wanted to, if there's a reason, if you wanted to make something, you know, make a custom like pergola or something, that would help you do that. Now we have that floating in midair, although we don't need it. And the very last thing I wanted to mention in this video, I hope I've covered everything that you need to know. But lastly, you see your money down in the bottom left corner? I know it's not a lot right now, and I'm sorry. Hopefully you'll be able to work up to get plenty to build to your heart's content. But we have the normal money, right? Which is what we've been using to place all of this down so far, right? But then we have this purple money, and this is what we call block bucks. And those you get in certain ways. The main way you get a large chunk of it is by buying it with Robux, but you can also get it for logging in for your daily rewards. I think like every 5th day or something you get block bucks, a certain amount of them. And there's just different ways through the game you can get them. Like I think when you advance through your careers, you can also get it that way. And that comes in handy because there's different ways that you can use block bucks. I think I mentioned, you know, the color tool, the color wheel. I'm pretty sure you buy that with block bucks. I may be wrong though. But then when you go to buy something, both on the build and decorate category, you see the block bucks section. All of these things that are highlighted in purple, you have to buy them with block bucks. They're not used with your normal in-game money. Oh, that just reminded me. Do you see that says $90? So that's 90 block bucks. I'm going to click that. And then you saw saw my Bloxburg go down. Thankfully, I can undo it and get my Bloxburg back. Once upon a time, you could not do that. You had to be so careful. And if you accidentally placed something that was worth Bloxburg, sorry, it's gone. But one really cool thing is that if I didn't undo, so I'm gonna redo and put it back. If I didn't undo and I deleted it right now, that would actually go into my inventory. So that's another thing that goes into your inventory that I forgot to mention earlier. And that's not the only way you can find Bloxburg items either. I think if you go into any section, like right now I'm just in the electronics section, you'll see like the electronic Bloxburg items, but they're the ones highlighted in purple, of course. As you can see, we have a very basic house here. We have not done everything, but I hope that that was able to help you understand the basics of building in Bloxburg so that you can then, as time goes on, develop your skills. If you start practicing and get tired of your builds and how boring or ugly you think they are, then I do have other videos to help you up your building game. So go check those out whenever you're ready, and happy building. I love y'all so much, and I will see you next time. I have lots of other fun build videos on the channel too, so please go check those out. Love you. Bye. Mwah.